Welcome back to the garage, everybody. Working on the old blue Willys again today. Made a ton of progress today that really made me happy. The parts for the exhaust got in a day kind of early or half day early. They got in last night. And so I was able to go through and convert the headers the rest of the way to the V-band clamps. So they're 2-inch V-band on the header. And so I had to do a little bit of a little concentric reducer to step down the sizes, but overall it worked fantastic. I got came up with a really slick way to trim the concentric reducers using a grinder and a cutoff wheel in my grinder and clamping it to the table, and then being able to rotate the part on the flat surface of the table to cut both sides of the concentric reducer down. And the fit from that was just awesome on the collectors, and so that made the welding a lot easier. So I got both of those welded together, and then while I was doing that, I sent the 3D printer on a mission, and it was doing a plastic mock-up version of the other half of the V-band, so I could use those exhaust mock-up blocks that I've been working on. And so then after I got the headers back in, put the headers back in both sides, this side went back together again without having to do anything too fancy. It is kind of tight, and you do have to kind of do a special method and use a special tool on the back bolt here to get that started, but otherwise it goes in and you don't have to take anything apart, which is really nice. So got that side in, and then I got this side in, and this side goes in no problem. Got the dipstick tube back together. But what I'm really excited to show you guys is how basically I went through and mocked up the exhaust. So I had a big box of stuff this morning, and that included this was exhaust parts, but also some cardboard shipping tubing. And then if you'll remember, I've been 3D printing a bunch of these exhaust blocks. So these are 2-inch, 3-inch centerline bends and straights and adapters and all that. And so once I was able to get those all printed up, I was able to do some really cool stuff under here. And I started on this side with because this was the side that had to go around the drive shaft. So I was able to use those exhaust mock-up blocks. You could see the first one that's basically just a V-band mock-up. Oh, I got a magnet on the side of the camera that's in love with the frame. And so I was able to use those mock-up blocks, and I was able to snake that thing around the starter. I don't know if you'll be able to get the starter out with it still in place, but it's going to be really close. And taking this half of the V-band off, I don't think will be that challenging. But anyways, there isn't a lot of clearance to work with, so that's the best I could do. But I snaked that thing down there, went under the oil pan, and then around, and then alongside the frame to the merge, and did the same thing on the other side. And so I have the whole exhaust mocked up right now, and I am super happy about that. And it fits, and it looks nice, and it's not super complicated. This part definitely is going to be the challenge. This has some compound bend in it, so the way these blocks work is they have this witness line on it, and so that is plane of bend. So I have to go through and count the blocks, see how many are still left in plane of bend, try and align them better into plane of bend, and then I can take notes about what sections go to what, and I can even mark these blocks for bend rotations. I could even dab them with some hot glue and put them together so that they can't move. But basically, you can see how much that goes. And so this is the worrisome area, but I was able to do this, which is pretty equivalent to the travel. This is much larger than what the drive shaft is going to be. And so I can squeak this over just a hair more if I want to. But anyways, I think if this is the 1.25" solid part of the drive shaft, the yoke will be here, and so that'll give the most clearance possible to the exhaust here. And then much above this, honestly, you start to get into transmission, getting really close to transmission and bell housing stuff. So that's where I'm going to start. And then you can see how I have these A side and B side adapters that go to, this is 2-inch just cardboard shipping tubing, 16th wall. And so I can use that for straight sections. And it really helps to have that for the straighter sections and put that whole thing together. So I am stoked about that. I did make this merge mount. This is probably going to be a little bit of controversial for you guys, but I always hard mount my merge to the vehicle, or to the transmission or transfer case, somewhere in there. So I've done it on multiple vehicles now. They've gone 10, 12 years, but I find that extra support at the merge really helps with the longevity of the Y pipe and the stress it sees, and header collector gaskets and exhaust gaskets and all those things. So this will be hard mounted to the PTO. It uses 2 bolts on the PTO port on the transmission, and then there will be a flex coupling right after this in the right after the cross member right here, flex coupling, and then onto the muffler. So really happy about how this went together. I was kind of stressing about it, but I got this is above the bottom, even with the bottom of the oil pan, so I don't have to worry about that with the belly skid plate. I can still get access to bolts, and clearances look pretty good. I have access to the oil filter up in here. Don't have to do a remote mount or anything. So I also have this, I don't know if I can get the camera up in there, but I have this one Boss right here. And since this is going to be so tight to the engine, I think I might do a little tab mount here to that Y pipe to help support that, and tuck it in closer to the engine so it doesn't rattle. But overall, really happy. And that is checked off the list. No. And I don't have to worry about it anymore, and I know that it's possible. And that time for the exhaust blocks and all that was well worth it, because I mean, there was a little bit of fiddling with them trying to mock up, but honestly, it goes so much quicker when you have those parts. And so highly suggest investing in a 3D printer, honestly, doing something like that, or there are companies that sell those. And it just, now I can go through and I can count the number of bends, which is the number of degrees of tubing that I need. I can map out how much straight and bent I need, how many, if I can buy 180s or 90s or 45s or whatever else, and I can really eliminate some of the work that goes into putting all that together. So, and waste. So that's the other big thing is paying a little bit more for the exhaust blocks. I mean, they're not expensive by any means because they're 3D printed at home, but and I can reuse them again on the next project. 2-inch, 3-inch center line is a pretty common size, I think, especially for kind of this V6 size engine stuff. So that's a really good one. But yeah, so that should make putting everything else together really easy and faster. So anyways, I'm rambling. I'm just super happy that all worked out, and that I can see it all now because I have that mock-up. So now I can go in and note everything, and it'll make more sense to my brain anyways. So thanks for following along. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. If you like this kind of content, please give me a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you want to follow along. There's a bell for notifications, all kinds of things. But thanks for following along. Appreciate it, guys. We'll talk to you. See you on the next one. Bye.